Alright, so tonight I brought y'all here to just inform y'all about the Bible and how I understand that sometimes there are misconceptions about religion and spirituality. I think often it is confused and sometimes they're actually even combined. The Bible has a very distinct way, the Christian Bible has a very distinct way of separating the two, and we can clearly see that in the New Testament. We will find a lot of that, and so I just wanted to show y'all some examples. So if y'all ever do decide to read the Bible or the Christian Bible, then you can go ahead and you would know how to approach it a little bit better and maybe have a better understanding of what it is that you're reading and the difference between spirituality and religion. So throughout my speech, I'm going to go ahead and inform y'all. In the New Testament, religion is seen more as man-made practice, man-made works, and spirituality is more of actually just having a personal relationship with God. So if I can have y'all go ahead and to prove this to you, I would like to show you. If y'all can just turn to Mark 7, verse 7.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go ahead and read a portion of the text to you to try to explain that. And so you can understand the context of what I'm expressing.
I got it.
Okay, great. So in Mark 7, actually we'll start from verse 6. Jesus answered them, "How right Isaiah was when he prophesied about you. You are hypocrites, just as he wrote. These people say, 'God, honor me,' with their words, but their heart is really far away from me. It is no use for them to worship me because they teach human rules as though they were my laws. You put aside God's command and obey human teachings." And Jesus continued, "You have a clever way of rejecting God's law in order to uphold your own teaching. For Moses commanded, 'Respect your father and your mother.'" So I'll just stop there. And so in the context, we can see that Jesus is really trying to emphasize the fact that he's referring to the people he's talking to as the Pharisees. At that time, the Pharisees were a Jewish people that used to put themselves higher and see themselves as like religious elite people. And so, but the reason why this is important and relevant even now is because of the fact as we go, often we see that as technology grows and everything like that, we also see, well, even since Jesus was here, we often see religious practice taking place. And religious practice is more of a law that you have to follow. And in the Bible, what Jesus is trying to explain is that there's a difference between spirituality and the law. So the law of man is very different from having a spiritual relationship with God. The second reference that I would like to do is if you could turn to 1 Corinthians 2:14, and that will defend that argument. And this will explain and emphasize a spiritual relationship with God. Okay, so in 1 Corinthians 2:14, it says, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness, and cannot understand them because they are discerned only through the Spirit." So once again, God emphasizes that even as we read this holy book, that there's a very distinct difference between religion and spirituality. When you have a spiritual life, you can understand what it is that God is trying to express, but basically faith has no, religion has no validity if it's not reinforced with faith. So you can practice something, but if you don't believe in it, it's not sincere. And so that's what that 1 Corinthians verse is trying to express. Another thing that I would like to emphasize is that God really does want to have a personal relationship with us. And so throughout the Bible, we constantly see this idea popping up over and over versus just having a religious approach, which is, following man-made works or laws. So another example of this is actually in the last book of the Bible, which is Revelations 21, 1 through 4. And I'd like to go ahead and just quickly read that to y'all and emphasize what God's true will will was for us since the beginning. So, since the beginning, and we'll see this throughout the Bible, God's will is to have this really strong personal relationship with us. But I think this is a really good verse to emphasize that. So he goes. So I'll go ahead and start from Revelations 21, 1 through 4. It says, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The first heaven and the first earth were disappeared, and the sea vanished. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming out of heaven from God, prepared and ready, like a bride dressed to meet her husband. I heard a loud voice speaking from the throne. Now God's home is with his people. He will live with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them, and he will be their God. He will wipe away all the tears from their eyes, and there will be no more death, no more grief or crying or pain. The old things have disappeared." So once again, this is God's true intention since the beginning of the Bible. We see it throughout as you go along and you read it. But once again, he goes ahead and refers, or we can refer to that in Revelation, which was his ultimate will all along for us. So I just wanted to go ahead and inform y'all of these differences, so that way if you do ever decide to pick up a Bible and read it, that way you'll be well informed of the difference between spirituality and religion, and how that's very distinct, and how that the Bible actually emphasizes this, which sometimes seems to be lost. So thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate your participation.
Thank you.